decision to merge SCO dialogue partners and observers into SCO partner countries. He has said that this move will provide a strong boost to the economy of member states, adding that the organization will launch a development bank to strengthen infrastructure development. He has confirmed the process has been set in motion with a formal decision to establish the SCO Development Bank. The minister reiterated the summit's opposition to unilateral trading systems and highlighted its statement in support of a WTO-centered global trade framework. He further added that frequent regional turbulence, rise of anti-globalism has worsened governance deficit. The Chinese foreign minister also added that summit issued a statement calling on international community to uphold the correct World War II perspective. He concluded that the global governance initiative stood out as a key highlight of this year's summit. Now for this discussion, we are joined by Peter Cordillo. He's a chief market economist at Spartan Capital Securities, joins us live from New York. And Andrew Latham, he's a professor of international relations, joins us live from Minnesota. And Erik Solheim, he's a former Minister of Climate and the Environment of Norway, joins us live from Malaysia. First, Erik, I would like to come to you for my discussion question. Now, with India and China emphasizing partnership over rivalry at this summit, how should Washington interpret these developments in terms of its Indo-Pacific strategy?
It's time for the United States to understand that it cannot run the world alone. For most of the 21st century, for most of the 20th century, the United States was the dominant power and they could basically decide more or less everything in the world. That time is over. The multipolar world has arrived, and there is hardly any stronger symbolic moment for the multipolar world than the meeting in Tianjin these days, and in particular the meeting between President Xi and Prime Minister Modi. Look, these two leaders are together representing 3 billion people, 3,000 million people. China is growing at 5%. India is the fastest growing economy in the world. The two nations are the leaders in the green development, and they will create a new rules-based order. Both of them, both China and India, want to have a close relationship to the United States and work with President Trump. But the time for the US to be a little bit more modest, to accept global rules, to accept the World Trade Organization, to accept that we are embarking upon a multipolar world, that time has arrived, and Tianjin is the strongest symbol of that.
Thank you for sharing that, Erik. Now I would like to take Professor Andrew. Andrew, what do you think? Do you agree with Erik, or does this challenge U.S. effort to position India as a strategic counterweight to China? What do you think?
Well, I agree in part where the unipolar moment is well and truly over, and now we're in a multipolar world, and all countries, but especially the great powers, have to navigate that world. And they're going to have to construct an order. Back in 1944, the soon-to-be victorious Allies sat down at Bretton Woods in the United States and devised the so-called Bretton Woods system, what became the World Trade Organization, the dollar as a reserve currency, the International Monetary Fund, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They created a world order which persisted until quite recently. It's in tatters now. What used to be called the liberal international order is now called the rules-based international order, which kind of gives it away. It's no longer what it once was. The old order is dead. The new order has yet to be born. This is a time of monsters, as Antonio Gramsci put it a long time ago. This SCO summit is not the Bretton Woods analogy. It's not the equivalent of Bretton Woods in 1944. There have been some interesting developments on the margins, as there always are at diplomatic gatherings. The optics are really good for Putin and Modi and Xi, not so good for Pakistan's head of state. But this is tinkering. This is not the creation of a new world order. Why? Because China desperately wants it to be a Sino-centric world order, and India and Russia have no interest in that. And in fact, Russia supported India's accession to the SCO in 2017, specifically and explicitly to provide a counterweight to China, so that it couldn't dominate and couldn't impose this Sino-centric post-Bretton Woods system on the world. So was the summit important? Yes. Were the optics really good for some players? Yes. Were some important things decided? Yes. Was this the equivalent of Bretton Woods in 1944? Absolutely not.
And with that, I would like to go to our other guest, Peter. Peter, what do you think? Do you agree with what just our other guests have said about China and India emphasizing partnership over rivalry, and what will be the effects of that?
Well, there's no doubt that, China and India certainly are major players in the world economies, and there's no doubt that the United States recognizes that. Of course, this SOC summit is obviously showing a sign of unity. Um, if you looked at some of the major papers this morning, the New York Times portrayed a picture of Xi, Modi, and Putin clasping their hands together. That's a sign of unity. Is it a real sign that it could become a threat to the United States and saying enough is enough, and we want to have more to say and have more negotiating power? I'm not too certain about that. Certainly, it could mean that China, India, and Russia could create their own trade deals and sort of basically shy away from the United States. But on the other hand, all three nations, to a certain degree, need a lot of the technology that the United States can offer. And so it's a very complicated situation. But is it showing a sign of unity? Is it showing a sign of saying enough is enough, and we need